Hi, and welcome to The Language Lie.
A podcast about idioms.
I'm Ingrid.
I'm Casey.
How's it going, Casey?
It's going like it's never gone before.
Wow, that's a remarkable thing to be. I mean, it's true on an existential level.
What a time to be alive.
What a time to be alive. Big waves, giant storms. Casey and I were having an uplifting conversation before we started.
We spiraled.
We did just a little bit, just a scotch. But now we're here with you. So we're here to talk about an idiom. Casey, are you excited to hear what today's idiom is?
Yes.
Is it as exciting as climate change?
Yes.
Great.
Why, yes, it is. People will
Oh,
listen to this at least.
yeah, that's true.
I mean, that's a stretch.
Damn, that was a sizzle. At least
The same
15
amount of people
people
listen to this
as listened to about climate change. You're correct. Oh, so this actually is a really apt idiom for the way that we've started this podcast. It's waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yes, I've heard this.
Do you know what it means, Casey?
It means that the story's not over, and potentially, and that there's an expected outcome that is not as favorable as the one that someone is currently experiencing.
I mean, that's correct. I think it's
cool.
interesting that you added the second part, that it's not as favorable.
I mean, that's always kind of the idea.
Yeah, a lot of the
Right.
places I found it said that it's expected to be a negative result, but I don't usually think of it that way. Maybe I do. Maybe I'm more negative than I actually give myself credit for, which is, I'm glad to know about myself. Where do you think this comes from, Mr. Divine?
I think it comes from when youngsters in post-depression era would take their shoes, tie them together, throw them over a power line. They had electricity back then, right?
Yes.
And sometimes one shoe would drop, and then people were just waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Wow. So you've kind of mashed.
And or
Okay.
sorry, I'm not done.
Great.
And or it's about the early stages of shoe factories when there would be a great shoe fire. No, I'm just kidding. Like an explosion, not an explosion,
Oh my God, how did we get here?
Like a disruption in the product chain machine, and one shoe would fall and the other shoe
Off the assembly line?
off the assembly line. Thank you, that's the word. And everyone was waiting for the other shoe to drop because it could be catastrophic.
Okay. Well,
and also I'm just kidding, those are the only two things that are left in my brain.
what does it mean I love both of these answers. Thank you. I feel like you've really shown some creativity today.
They're both perfectly right too.
Yeah, it's hard for two things to be right, but you do it all the time. Yeah. What is the thing in modern culture? Forgive me for being ignorant of popular culture as always, but why do people throw their shoes over the power line? Doesn't it indicate that there's it's some sort of illegal activity, right?
Oh, interesting.
Tennis shoes?
So I don't know. I know in Baltimore, if there's a drug house, back in the day, someone would take a cassette tape for audio recordings for kids before MP3s and CDs.
My kid has some leggings with cassette tapes on them, and people are always like, "Do you know what those are?"
What is that,
young man?
So they would take the cassette tape and they would pull the tape out and then throw that in front of the house or neighborhood. I will say I feel like I have misrepresented what it means in my own head, because I hitchhiked around the country a long time ago. And once I finished hitchhiking and I like decided to live in Seattle, I took the shoes that I had hitchhiked with, I tied them together and I threw them around like a wire. But
You're
now everyone's like,
adorable.
this is a drug house.
Casey was just expressing himself, and suddenly
I was like,
everyone's trying to buy.
yay.
Suddenly he's at the police station.
Yeah, I'm getting questioned.
So if any of our listeners know actually what it means, I'm not going to look it up. So just write in and tell us. Thanks. But you're correct on what it means. And I would like everyone to know in advance that unlike every other idiom I've ever researched, this one has an origin. It's not either of the things that Casey said.
Bruiser. Go in the other room. Oh. Can we both clap so we know where that is?
So it does mean to wait for something inevitable. This is from grammarist.com. For instance, a disgruntled wife may move out of her house and her friends may wait to see if she files for divorce or waits for the other shoe to drop. Is that ever how you've thought about someone like a wife moving out of their house? Like, well, we're just going to wait for the other shoe to drop?
Well, what's the other shoe in this
Yeah.
situation?
Like maybe she needs something worse to happen before she files for divorce.
Wow.
I would think it was bad if she already moved out.
Interesting and weird.
Yes, and also I loved how many of the examples I found all over the internet that were of this of a wife leaving her husband, like waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Wow.
Yeah. So they also say that it can mean to wait to see what someone else is going to do before committing oneself to a certain action or plan, which that doesn't have like a negative connotation. I feel like a lot of times I connote this with like something bad is going to happen, like you were saying. For instance, a company may lay off its sales force. The rest of the employees might wait to see what the company's next step will be, or wait for the other shoe to drop. So they the idioms at the Free Dictionary also gives an example of now that she has a good enough job to leave her husband, we're just waiting for the other shoe to drop.
What? And also, what is the other shoe to drop in this instance?
I don't know. Exactly. Like this poor woman, I like thinking that it's all the same woman.
It's the same woman. She's like, please, can I catch a break?
I just need a different shoe, people. So back to Grammarist. They say that the phrase became popular at the turn of the 20th century, and it originated in New York tenements. These tenements were poorly constructed, crowded apartment buildings. A resident could certainly hear his upstairs neighbor dropping his shoes on the floor as he took them off at night, first one and then the other. So you're waiting for the other shoe to drop as you're trying to go to sleep in your poor life in your tenement. So this led me to Gothamist, which I had to check out their take on this, given the New York connection. They were, of course, really excited about this idiom. They said that the unsteady pattern of neighbor noise is maddening still, but in modern times, it's more like waiting for the other bass to drop, waiting for the other random piece of furniture to be moved around endlessly, waiting for the television to be turned off, or waiting for that winning lottery ticket so I can move to a place with no neighbors. And then they say, at least we have white noise machines now.
It's true.
So that's where it comes from.
Waiting for the bass to drop.
Waiting for the
new one.
For the other bass to drop.
The other bass to drop. That's what I'm gonna use instead.
Oh, have you lived in a downstairs apartment?
Yes, in Seattle, and
where your shoes were outside.
Yes, because I didn't have them inside, because obviously that's what you do to them. But our upstairs neighbor I don't know. She lived there by herself. I don't know what she was doing at 11 p.m. But
It's always the middle of the night.
river dance. It had to be river dance.
Yeah, I lived in college. I lived in a couple of downstairs apartments, and like my rule for life forever has been, I don't really care where I live, but it will not be in a downstairs apartment.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, look at me. I have a piano and I'm upstairs. So I'm the worst of them all.
You are an amazing neighbor, because you have said to me before that you will not play your piano like after 7, which is
That's not true. After 9.
really kind. You're a wonderful neighbor. I happen to know
Thank
this.
you.
Casey's a great neighbor, guys. So one more thing I wanted to say about this is that all of this like led me to a New York Times article about worrying. And I was like, this might say more about my search history than anything else.
We
And
noticed
it
you search a lot about anxiety.
it had this really big headline that was like, worrying about something that hasn't happened yet will steal your joy. And I was like, someone wrote this? They got paid to write this article. We didn't know this. So that's the idiom.
Some people need to hear it.
Yeah, they do. It's true. And if you're that person, I'm glad that I could summarize that New York Times article for you, because if you're that worried, you probably don't have time to read that New York Times article.
Yeah, we're listening to a podcast about idioms.
It's so true.
What are you doing? Get back to work.
Go to your third job. Come on.
Yeah.
All right, so that's our idiom.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to say one more language related thing. You know how I like to go on a tangent sometimes.
No.
No, you've never heard me do that ever before. This is my language therapy. Thanks for participating in it, Casey.
You're welcome.
I was talking to
court ordered.
My court ordered language. It's true. I was getting into all kinds of trouble linguistically. So I was talking to my friend Aaron about something annoying that had happened, and he replied in text. He was like, "That's so mid." And I was like, "I'm sorry, what are these words that you have just said?"
Is this a teenager you're talking to?
Because you know how I text with a lot of teenagers.
What grown adult does Aaron listen to this podcast?
He's gonna have some realizations about himself if he does. So it was a group text, and our other friend Brock was like, I think that Aaron just makes up slang to try to trick me into thinking that that's what young kids say.
That's hilarious.
And I agree. But no, he wrote back and said that the etymology, he used etymology in a text, which makes me impressed. He said that the etymology of mid comes from weed culture. You have top shelf and you have the mid, and nobody wants the mid. So it's like, it means that it's bad. You know, there's a whole conversation we can have about really what is the bad. Casey thinks mid is fine. So
I mean, it depends on what, like, anyway, we're not getting into it here, but
yes, we learned some new slang. I'm excited.
That's cool.
Or Aaron has lied to all of us. So
yeah, he's like, what can I make up real quick? ChatGPT. Makeup
slang.
an origin.
What do you think happens if you put makeup slang into ChatGPT? Guess what I'll be doing with the rest of my night.
Oh,
cool. Hey, you got an international idiom for
cancer and you're like, makeup slang.
I'm just chatting with chat. Whatever. So ChatGPT is going to take over the world, so it pays me to be nice to it right now and get it into my way. So do you have an international idiom for us, Casey?
I do not, but instead I subbed this out for a phrase that you should not say, or a word that you should not say. So long form language lie, sometimes we would do both. So I wanted to do one of the words that you shouldn't say.
I love these. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome, truly. The word is hooligans.
Hooligans. It's derogatory to the Irish, right?
Yeah, how'd you know?
I know a lot of hooligans.
Wow. Okay, so yeah, it derives from a character, a family of cartoon characters with the same name, and they were Irish immigrants struggling to fit in to London at the time, and so it was like harshly stereotypical. And not really kind.
And their name was the Hooligans?
I
had no idea about that part of it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Well,
don't say it, y'all.
that sucks. It's a fun word, but I'll take it out.
Yeah. We're not going to be able to speak
I
by the end of
know
this
it's
podcast.
true. Also, like that's going to become some commonly horrible word, and we're going to get this podcast is not going to be allowed to be, we're going to get taken off the air. Well, cool. Thank you for that interesting fact.
Yes, my pleasure.
Well, oh, we wanted to say before we go into our tell it right in, let us know any of these things. But we wanted to say that we've also put up a lot of we're trying to get caught up with the backlog, but we're starting to put episodes up on YouTube now so that we can have closed captioning so that that is accessible. So just know that that's there. I'm figuring out how to do it. It's really fun. So give us your thoughts on that or any other idioms, or don't
but
do
if
it.
you want to watch us,
if you want to watch it,
yourself,
you can go to the Language Lie on
there.
YouTube. Yeah. And you can also email us at thelanguagelie@gmail.com.
Or slide into our DMs at thelanguagelie, all one word, on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter.
We have a Twitter. I would love to put things on it. It's an aspiration.
All right, let's wrap this.
Okay, cool.
Anyway.
Have a great day. We'll talk to you guys next week.
All right, bye, y'all.
Bye.